Section 2.4, Addition and Subtraction of Fractions Applications. Before it was trimmed, a booklet measured 9 1/16 inch high by 8 3/16 inch wide. If each edge of the height and one edge of the width were trimmed 1/16 of an inch, what is the finished side? All right, first let me correct my lack of lines. A little PDF problem. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so let's do the first one, which is 9. Oops, sorry, 9 1/16. Now what happens is it says what we're going to do is each edge of the height. So each edge of the height. So if we had a booklet here, right? This is not a very nice one, but let's say the booklet were 9 1/16 this way, and let's say the booklet was. Let's say the booklet were 8 3/16 the other way. Well, they want us to shave off, I guess, to see each edge on the height. So I guess one there and there, and they're going to chop that off. And then as far as one edge on the width, so they're just going to chop off one edge on this width, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Now what we're going to do is the amount they're trimming is 1/16. Now this is the height that I'm dealing with right here. So this is the height, which is 9/16. I'm subtracting not just 1/16, but 1/16 twice. Now, as far as the height, or I'm sorry, not the width, what you're going to do with the width is you're going to be taking the 8 3/16, and you're only going to be subtracting a 16th off once. Okay, so there's several ways you can do this. If you kind of know how to borrow and stuff with fractions, you can deal with this. My recommendation is, of course, just use your technology, use your scientific calculator. But if not, that's the way you would do it longhand. So first thing I would do is I would convert all of the mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay, so 9 times 16 is 144. 144 plus 1 is 145. And we'll stick that over the 16th. And we'll rewrite it. So we say 145 over 16th minus 1 over 16th minus 1 over 16th. Now, since these are like fractions, given that they all have the same denominator, we would immediately say 145 minus 1 minus 1, all over 16. So we're just subtracting the numerators. We don't worry about the denominators. That stays the same. So we say 145 minus 1 minus 1. So it would be 145 minus 1, which is 144. 144 minus 1, which is 143. So 143 sixteenths. Now we don't want to leave it as 143 sixteenths. We want to convert that back into a mixed number. So we take the 143. Sorry, this is not supposed to look like that. Look like a radical. Let's make it look more like a, there you go, division sign. Okay, so we're dividing that by 16. Now 16 does not go into 1, doesn't go to 14. You just start from the left and work your way right, but it does go into 143. In fact, it goes in there 8 times. All right, so 8 times 16 would give you 128. We subtract 128 from 143, and that would give me a 15. And then what we would end up with is a remainder of 15. Okay, now we convert that back into a mixed number. So we say we keep the 8, which is the whole number. 15 is the new numerator, and 16 is the denominator. So it looks like we'll end up with 8 15 sixteenths. Excellent. Okay, now the next one we kind of do the same thing. All right, so we say 8 times 16 plus 3. 8 times 16 is 128. You say 128 plus 3 is 131. All right, so we turn this into 131 16th minus 1 16th, which gives me 130 16th. All right, cool. So now we want to convert that back into a more reasonable number. So we say how many times does 16 go in there? Well, it goes in there 8 times. 8 times 16 is 128. You subtract 128 from 130, you get 2, and that gives you a remainder of 2. So it gives you 8 and 2 16th, but you can simplify the 2 over 16th by dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 2, which is the greatest common factor there. And that gives you 8 and 1/8. So 8 and 1/8. There you go. All right, let's move on to the next one. The large end of a tapered pin is 2 17/18 inch in diameter, while the small end is 2 4/9 inch in diameter. Calculate the difference to get the amount of paper. Okay, so now whenever they use the word difference, we know that generally means subtraction. So what we do is we're going to say, well, it's 2 17/18 minus 2 and 4/9. All right, cool. So we're going to convert both those mixed numbers into improper fractions. So we're going to multiply the whole number 2 by the denominator 18, and we're going to add the numerator of 17. So 2 times 18 is 36, and 36 plus 17 is going to give you 53. Yeah. All right, so the other one's going to be 2 times 18 I'm sorry, 2 times 9. So we're going to convert the next one, 2 times 9 plus 4, right? So the whole number 2, 4 times 9 plus that 4. So 2 times 9 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. Gives me 22 over the 9. 22, 9. And the other one was over 18. Okay. We're making a little bit of headway here. 53. I don't recommend doing it this way, though. I recommend you use your scientific calculator. That would be way easier. Okay. Now they don't have they're not like fractions given that they do not have the same denominator, so I need to make them have the same denominator before I can add or subtract fractions. The way I do that is I find the least common denominator of 18 and 9. The least common denominator is 18. 18 is large enough that I can divide both 18 and 9 into evenly. So I want them to both be 18. The way I turn a 9 into an 18 is I multiply it by 2, and to keep an equivalent fraction, I have to multiply the numerator by 2. You don't need to know all that terminology. I'm not going to test you over it or anything. There we go. Okay, so now the denominators match, and now that they're like fractions in that the denominators match, I can just subtract, in this case, the numerators and leave the denominators alone. So I'm saying 53 minus 44 is 9. It gives me 9/18ths. And now I can divide both 18 and 9 by 9, and that would give me 1/2. So it looks like the difference is 1/2 of an inch. All right, so a jointer is set to remove 5/81ths of an inch from a width of an oak book. If the board was 4 5/9 inch wide, find its width after joining once. All right. So we are going to remove 5/80/81 from 4 5/9. So I'm going to say 4 5/9 minus 5/81. Okay. Now again, first step is I want to take that mixed number 4 5/9 and I want to convert it into an improper fraction. 4 times 9 is 36. 36 plus 5 is 41. And we put it over the old denominator of 9. So that gives me 41 over 9 minus 5/81. Now, they don't match, the denominators don't match, so I can't subtract yet. So what I have to do is I have to turn them into the least common denominator of an 81 and a 91. And the least common denominator of those is 81, so I have to multiply the 9 by 9. And whenever I do the top half to the bottom in this case, it gives me 369 over 81 minus 5/81. Now that the denominators match, these are like fractions, so it means I'm going to be subtracting the numerators. Okay, so we say 369 minus 5, which gives me 364 over 81. I said over 9. I said 369 minus 5/81. Okay, so now we have the answer as an improper fraction. Let's convert that to a mixed number. So what we do is we say 364, and we divide that by 81. So that will go in there 4 times, which give me 324. And then we'll subtract 324 from that, which gives me a 40. Cool. Which gives me a remainder of 40. And then what we do is we convert that into a mixed number, which is 4 and 40 over 81. 4 and 40 81ths. All right, cool. So during an oil change, you have 7 1/16 quarts of oil were needed to fill up an engine. During the next oil change, only 2 3/8 quarts of oil drained from the engine. How much oil was consumed between oil changes? All right, cool. So you find the difference. So the difference is how much was used, right? All right. So we're saying 7 and 1/16. We're going to convert that to an improper fraction. 7 times 16 plus 1. 7 times 16. So that gives me 112 plus 1, which is be 113. And we put it over the old denominator of 16. Next we say 2 times 8 plus 3, which is 16, plus 3, which is 19. Put it over 8. So we rewrite the original 113 sixteenths minus 19/8. Now we don't have the same denominator, so we cannot subtract, so we have to make them have the same denominator. So the least common denominator between a 16 and an 8 is a 16. So we're going to multiply the 8 by 2, we have to multiply the numerator by 2. And what that does is that gives me 113 sixteenths minus 38 sixteenths. And what we do is we say 113 minus 38 over 16th, and 113 minus 38 is 75 over 16. Now we want to convert 75 right over 16. We want to convert that to a mixed number, so we say 75 divided by 16. So that should happen, I guess, 4 times. 4 times 16 is 64. 64 from 75 is 11, which gives me a remainder of 11. And then we write that as a mixed number, which is 4 and 11, which is the remainder, over 16, which was the old denominator. So we end up with that. So apparently used up 4 and 11/16 oil, or we consumed that much between oil changes. All right, so let's try the next one. So the concrete slab for a patio requires 3 1/4 cubic yards of concrete. If the truck delivered the concrete has a capacity of 11 cubic yards and is full, how many cubic yards will remain in the concrete truck after delivery? So it's the difference between the full capacity of the truck, because it's full, minus how much we order and we take out of the truck, which is just 3 1/4. Okay, so 11 is understood to be over 1. And let's convert the mixed number of 3 1/4 into an improper fraction. So I say 3 times 4, which is the denominator, plus 1, which is the numerator. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. We end up with a 13. I know that looks terrible. We end up with a 13/4. So what this gives us is 11 over 1 minus 13 over 4. And then what we do is we convert that into, we have to get a least common denominator of 4. If the denominators do not match, we cannot subtract. So the least common denominator of a 1 and a 4 is a 4. We multiply 1 by 4, and we also have to multiply the numerator by 4 as well to keep it an equivalent fraction. Otherwise, we essentially break the fraction. So that gives you 44 over 4 minus 13 over 4. And that gives me 44 minus 13 over 4. 44 minus 13 is equal to 31. And we put that over a 4. And then we go from improper fraction to mixed numbers by saying, 31 divided by 4. So it's going to go in there 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. 31 minus 28 is 3, with a remainder of 3. So if we turn that to a mixed number, it's going to be 7 and 3, which is the remainder, over 4, which is the old denominator. So it looks like we have another 7 3/4 inch cubic yards of, I guess, more concrete.